Behind his smile and calm words, her husband was hiding something darker than she imagined. Welcome to Tales by Steph, a home of interesting African stories. On their wedding day, Samantha thought she had won the jackpot of life. She remembered standing at the altar, her hands shaking inside Tony's strong grip, while everyone in the church stared with admiration. He was tall, handsome, well-spoken, and successful. He looked like every mother's dream son-in-law and every woman's silent wish. Standing proudly beside Tony was his best man, Jay, Tony's closest friend since their university days. Jay was tall, confident, and had the kind of charm that filled any room. His speech at the reception made everyone laugh and clap, and more than once Samantha caught the way Tony's eyes shone when Jay spoke. At the time, she thought nothing of it. After all, men shared deep friendships too. She was only grateful that her husband had such a loyal friend by his side. When the pastor said, "You may now kiss the bride," Tony leaned forward and pressed his lips against hers. The hall erupted with cheers, people clapped, and cameras flashed like lightning. To everyone else, it looked perfect. To Samantha, it felt real, the beginning of forever. In the weeks after the wedding, life settled into what she thought was happiness. They moved into a cozy 3-bedroom apartment in Abuja. The walls were freshly painted cream, the curtains were white with golden patterns, and their furniture looked like something out of a magazine. Samantha decorated with love, placing scented candles in the sitting room and hanging framed Bible verses in the hallway. Every morning she prepared his breakfast, and every evening he came home with a calm smile and asked about her day. But behind that smile, something was missing. Tony was gentle, almost too gentle. He never raised his voice, he never got angry, he never even argued. While Samantha's friends complained about their husbands being rough, lazy, or cheating with women, she secretly thanked God for giving her a peaceful man. Yet, in the quiet of the night, she sometimes wondered why he seemed distant. 5 months after the wedding, Samantha's heart grew restless. Her friends were already talking about babies, and some had conceived within the first few months of marriage. Every time she visited her mother, the older woman would smile knowingly and say, "We are waiting for good news, my daughter." The pressure tightened like a rope around her neck. One evening, she sat beside Tony after dinner, twisting her fingers nervously. "Tony, don't you think it's strange we haven't conceived yet?" He looked at her calmly, as though she had asked about the weather. "It's only 5 months, Samantha. Relax. Children will come when God wants." "But I'm worried," she said softly. "What if something is wrong?" "Maybe we should see a doctor." Tony shook his head, that same polite smile tugging at his lips. "There's no rush." "Why are you stressing yourself? Enjoy the marriage first." Samantha sighed. She wished she could carry his calmness, but it wasn't in her nature. She wanted to be a mother. She wanted to feel life growing inside her. She wanted to prove to herself, to her family, and maybe even to Tony, that their marriage was complete. But Tony didn't seem to care. He brushed off her worries like dust on a suit. Still, Samantha kept trying to hide her fears. "Marriage is like this," she told herself. "Not every day is fire and passion. Not every man shows worry, but the truth scratched at the back of her mind." On their honeymoon, he had kissed her forehead more than her lips. He hugged her warmly, but rarely pulled her closer. When she wore new lingerie, he smiled politely and said, "You look beautiful," before turning off the light. At first, Samantha thought it was stress. Tony worked as an architect and often returned home late, tired from chasing deadlines. She believed it was just the demands of his job. But as weeks became months and months became a year, she realized intimacy was missing from their marriage. One night, lying beside him in bed, she turned slowly and whispered, her voice trembling, "Tony, why haven't you touched me since after our wedding? It's been months and you act like you don't even want me." Tony looked at her, his eyes soft but unreadable. He leaned forward, kissed her forehead gently, and said, "Don't think too much." "I love you." Samantha blinked quickly, swallowing the lump in her throat. His words were sweet, but her heart ached. Love, she thought, should show itself, not hide behind polite smiles and excuses. The next day, Samantha went to see her mother. She spoke to her mother. She didn't go into details, but asked, "Mama, how do you know if a man truly loves you?" Her mother laughed softly. "Love is in action, my daughter. If he provides, respects you, and stays faithful, then you are blessed. Forget what movies show about passion every night. That one doesn't last forever." Samantha nodded, but her heart wasn't settled. She wanted more than provision. She wanted a connection. She wanted her husband fully, mind, body, and soul. Her doubts grew when she started noticing little things. Tony was protective of his phone. He never left it lying around. He changed his passwords often. When she asked for his Netflix login one day, he said he would send it later, but never did. One Saturday, while folding laundry, Samantha found a receipt in his trouser pocket. It was from a lounge in Woo's, too. 2 cocktails. The date matched a night he told her he was working late. Her chest tightened. Who was he with? When he returned that evening, she asked casually, "How was work yesterday?" "Stressful," he sighed, removing his tie. "Clients are giving me a headache." She smiled faintly and said nothing, but inside questions burned. Then came the night of her office dinner. Samantha looked stunning in a wine-colored gown. Her colleagues praised her, and she felt proud. But Tony sat beside her with the same polite smile, clapping at the right times, nodding at jokes, but his eyes never truly lit up. When they returned home, Samantha leaned close, hoping he would reach for her. Instead, he muttered, "I'm tired," and went straight to bed. Lying alone, Samantha whispered to herself, "Something is wrong." But what? It started with little things. Whenever Jay visited their home, Tony's face lit up in a way Samantha rarely saw. They would talk for hours, laughing at private jokes she didn't understand. Sometimes Jay would pat Tony's back or touch his arm, and Samantha would feel something strange in the air. At first, she brushed it aside. They are just close friends, she told herself. But one evening, after Tony claimed he had a late-night meeting, Samantha's heart told her something was wrong. His phone rang on the dining table while he was in the shower. The caller ID flashed. "Jay." Her hands trembled, but she answered quietly. She heard Jay's voice, soft and intimate. "Babe, are you on your way? I've been waiting. Don't keep me long tonight." Samantha's heart dropped. She ended the call quickly before Tony came out. Her chest pounded. "Did I hear right, babe? Waiting?" The next day, she pretended nothing happened, but she began watching more closely. Tony often lied about work, yet Jay's car would be missing from his compound those same nights. The final blow came when she visited Jay's apartment unexpectedly, delivering a package she thought belonged to him. The door wasn't locked. She pushed it open gently, and there, on the couch, she saw Tony and Jay too close, holding and kissing each other in a way no friends ever should. Her whole world crashed at that moment. Samantha froze at the door, her breath stuck in her throat. Her hands shook as she gripped the small package she had come to deliver. Tony and Jay leapt apart like guilty children caught stealing, but it was too late. She had seen enough. "Tony," her voice cracked barely more than a whisper. "What? What is this?" Tony's face was drained of color. "Samantha, wait. It's not what you think. Not what I think," she screamed now, her voice echoing through the apartment. "You're in your best friend's arms and you want to tell me it's not what I think." Jay stood up, looking nervous but calm. "Samantha, please, sit down. We can explain." "Explain what?" She cut him off, her eyes burning with tears. That my husband, the man I married, the man I've been begging to touch me, has been giving himself to you." Silence filled the room. Tony buried his face in his hands, unable to look at her. "Answer me, Tony," she shouted. Finally, Tony raised his head. His eyes glistened. "I'm sorry, Samantha. I didn't want you to find out this way." The words shattered her. Her knees weakened, and she sank onto a chair, her body trembling. Everything made sense now. The cold nights, the excuses, the distance. She had thought she was the problem. But the truth was sitting right in front of her. Samantha's tears spilled freely, hot and bitter. She pressed her palms against her face, shaking her head over and over. "All this time," she whispered, "all this time I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I wasn't enough." Tony rushed toward her, kneeling at her feet. "No, Samantha. You're not the problem. You're a good woman. You're more than enough. I just—" His voice broke. "I couldn't stop who I am." His words cut like a knife. She pulled her legs back from his hands, glaring through her tears. "And you thought the best thing to do was to marry me? To deceive me? To stand before God and my family, smiling like a liar, when all along your heart belonged to him?" She pointed at Jay with shaking fingers. Jay swallowed hard. "Samantha, I told Tony not to go through with it, but he said it was what his family wanted. He didn't want to disappoint them. He thought, marrying you would fix things." Samantha let out a bitter laugh that cracked into sobs. "Fix things? You've ruined my life, my whole life." The room was heavy with silence. Tony lowered his head, ashamed, while Jay stood helpless, his hands at his sides. Finally, Samantha rose slowly from the chair, her voice trembling but firm. "I gave you my trust, Tony. I gave you my body, my dreams, my future, and you gave them to someone else. I don't know how, but I will not let this destroy me." She walked out of the apartment without looking back, her tears blurring the world before her. Samantha drove home with shaking hands, tears blinding her eyes. By the time she reached the house, she was weak. She locked herself in the bedroom and cried until her chest ached. The next morning, her mother called. "Samantha, your voice sounds weak. Are you okay?" She forced a smile into her tone. "I'm fine, Mama. Just tired." But her mother wasn't convinced. When Tony returned later that day, Samantha avoided him completely. He followed her into the bedroom, guilt heavy on his face. "Samantha, please, we need to talk," he said softly. She spun around, her face red from crying. "Talk? About what? That my husband is in love with his best man? That I'm just a cover so your family and the church won't suspect?" Tony's shoulders slumped. "I didn't want to hurt you. I thought I could change. I thought marrying you would make the feelings go away. But I was wrong." Samantha shook her head slowly. "You didn't just hurt me, Tony. You broke me. You broke the vows we made. You broke the trust I gave you." Silence filled the room again. Both knew things could never return to how they were. The days that followed were heavy. Samantha moved like a shadow in her own home. She couldn't look at Tony without feeling betrayed, and every time his phone buzzed, she wondered if it was Jay. One evening, Samantha sat across from him at the dining table. The food remained untouched. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. Tony's eyes widened. "Samantha, please." She raised her hand. "No, you chose Jay long before you chose me. You may have married me, but your heart was never mine. I deserve better than to fight for scraps of love that were never meant for me." Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I never meant to hurt you." She nodded slowly. "But you did." The next week, Samantha packed her bags and left. She moved back into her parents' house, carrying her dignity with her. Tony and Jay continued their secret relationship, but the truth wasn't so secret anymore. Whispers spread among friends, neighbors, even family. Months later, Samantha stood in front of the mirror, stronger than before. The pain was still there, but she no longer felt broken. She smiled faintly at her reflection and whispered, "I survived." Tony had lost a loyal wife. Jay had gained a secret lover. But Samantha, she had found her freedom. And sometimes, freedom is the sweetest revenge. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more unique stories.